In personal finance, retirement is supposed to be the safe chapter. At 62, he believed his retirement was secure. At 72, he was choosing between medication and groceries. And the challenging part? Nothing went wrong. No market crash, no reckless spending, no sudden financial mistakes. It wasn't his fault, and that makes it even more uncertain. This story isn't rare. It's happening quietly all around us. In homes just like yours, in neighborhoods just like yours. If you stopped working today, how long do you really think your money would last? Most retirees don't fail because they are careless. They fail because of invisible mistakes. Mistakes no one warns you about.
Mistakes that don't scream danger until your bank balance whispers, "I'm almost gone." Some retirees believe saving alone will protect them. Others think pensions are a guarantee. Few think about what happens when life stretches far longer than expected. By the time most people notice, their money has already slipped through their fingers. And that's exactly what happened to David. David retired at 61. Not early, not late, just on schedule. He spent over 30 years working diligently, rarely missed a day, saved a portion of every paycheck. By retirement, his house was paid off, no mortgage, no debt. He had a modest pension and a retirement account he'd been building quietly for decades. From the outside, David looked perfect. He had the retirement trifecta: paid off home, pension income, personal savings. "I did everything right," he told anyone who asked. And by most traditional financial standards, he had. But here's the thing about retirement: good intentions don't guarantee security. The first year of retirement felt like freedom. The second year felt deserved. The third year felt normal. And when retirement feels normal, most people stop paying attention. David didn't notice the subtle shifts. Grocery bills creeping higher, utilities inching upward, medical copays increasing. Small changes, hardly noticeable, but combined, they started to chip away at his safety net. By year 5, he was still comfortable. By year 8, he was adjusting small spending decisions, thinking nothing serious would happen. And then by year 10, he checked his accounts. The balance didn't hit zero, but it didn't feel safe either. David's savings were nearly gone, and he still didn't understand why. Because the problem wasn't how much he saved, it was how long he needed it to last. If you had a pension and savings, would you assume you were safe too? David's neighbor, Harold, had saved the same amount. He had a similar pension, a paid-off home. Harold never questioned his plan. He thought safe meant untouchable. But by year 12, Harold was forced to sell part of his investment portfolio. Unexpected medical bills, inflation, lifestyle creep. David realized he was living the same slow decline, but silently. This is the quiet danger. Retirement is a marathon, not a sprint. And most people never train for it. Most retirees imagine retirement as a chapter, not a lifetime. David retired in his early 60s, like many people. He pictured 10 comfortable years, maybe 15. Few anticipate living into their late 80s or 90s. And here's the trap. If your planning horizon is too short, every extra year becomes a financial leak. Running out of money doesn't happen at 90. It happens when you're still strong enough to feel every missed opportunity, every anxious night, every small worry amplified. Think about it. How old were you when you pictured your money running out? David never imagined needing his savings to last 25, 30 years. And every year he lived longer than expected, the plan he trusted silently failed. The first leak is longevity. Slow, invisible, polite. The second leak, lifestyle creep. The third, healthcare. And the fourth, bad advice, quietly compounding mistakes that no one talks about. David planned a small trip in year 6 of retirement. Nothing extravagant, a quiet beach getaway. But costs added up. Hotel upgrades, travel insurance, car rental, unexpected charges for meals and excursions. By the end of the trip, his spending that year was well above budget. He didn't panic. He rationalized. It's just 1 year. But 1 year turned into a habit. Every treat slowly drained his safety net. This is the danger of lifestyle creep. It's invisible, seductive, and insidious. David didn't suddenly start living luxuriously. He didn't buy sports cars or move into mansions. The money left his life slowly. Helping adult children with rent, a few dinners out, unexpected gifts to friends and family, minor home repairs, the occasional upgrade or appliance replacement. Even small luxuries add up. Retirement spending doesn't spike, it bleeds. David didn't notice until 1 month his account balance didn't recover. And when he finally examined it, he realized the invisible leaks had been happening for years. What's one expense you assume will stay small forever? Even careful retirees collapse under a single cost they never budget for. David had a digital subscription. It cost $12 a month. Harmless, right? By year 10, it had grown into 5 subscriptions. Movies, music, magazines, apps, each small charge adding quietly to his expenses. $12 turns into $60, $60 turns into $720 a year, and yet he barely noticed. This is the danger of compounding small spending in retirement. Most retirement plans assume one constant: health. David assumed it too. For years, everything seemed normal. Annual checkups, routine prescriptions. Then slowly the bills shifted. Specialist visits, tests, medications increasing. Healthcare costs don't arrive all at once. They arrive in layers, silently eroding your finances. David adjusted. He cut expenses here, delayed there, until it was no longer temporary. Healthcare costs rise faster than almost everything else, even when nothing goes wrong. David's retirement didn't break from luxury. It broke from survival. Good health is temporary. Expenses are not. If your health changed tomorrow, how long could your money protect you? David did what most retirees do. He sought advice. Books, articles, experts. The advice sounded safe. Be conservative, protect what you have, don't take risks. It sounded smart, sounded reasonable, sounded harmless. But here's the danger. Safety in retirement can quietly be dangerous. One rule repeated itself everywhere: withdraw a fixed percentage each year. Sounds scientific, right? Reliable, predictable. But life isn't predictable. Markets fluctuate, inflation rises, expenses evolve. Fear played a part. Fear of market swings, fear of losing money. So David pulled back. Money that doesn't grow slowly shrinks. David trusted advisors, fees he didn't fully understand, small percentages, quiet compounding over time. The wrong advice doesn't ruin you immediately. It ruins you quietly. Have you ever followed advice that sounded safe? Even careful investors face hidden enemies no one talks about. David followed a friend's suggestion to invest in ultra-safe bonds. Over 10 years, returns barely outpaced inflation. Every year, his money lost value in real terms. And then came the shock. He realized even good intentions can be financially deadly. Time should be your ally in personal finance. In retirement, it can be your enemy. Money saved in your 50s doesn't hold the same power 20 years later. Inflation is slow, invisible, relentless. Grocery bills, utilities, medications, gas, insurance, every year rising costs nibble at your nest egg. Even fixed pensions can lose purchasing power quietly. Think about it. How long could your money last if costs grew faster than income? David noticed it slowly. A cup of coffee, a grocery trip, gas for his car. Each year slightly higher, almost unnoticeable, until suddenly it wasn't. David kept a journal of expenses. He noticed the small changes but rationalized them. It's just inflation. I can adjust. But adjustments weren't enough. Over 10 years, tiny increases added up to a life-altering problem. By year 15, retirement no longer felt like freedom. It became anxiety. Every small leak, every silent increase, every outdated piece of advice compounded. David began making painful choices. Which bills to pay this month? Which medications could he delay? Which meals could be adjusted? He avoided friends. He felt shame. He felt the quiet weight of doing everything right and still falling short. This is a reality many retirees face. A slow erosion of dignity, a growing sense of vulnerability. Many story. Running out of money doesn't just affect your bank account. It affects your mind,
Your choices, your joy. David's story is a warning, but it's also a lesson. The smartest retirees know this: retirement isn't just stopping work. It's managing freedom responsibly. Plan for 30 years, not 10. Build multiple income streams. Prepare for healthcare costs, inflation, and lifestyle creep. Review assumptions regularly. Avoid blindly trusting safe advice without understanding it.
10 years of careful planning, and yet his money felt fragile. He wondered, how did it all slip away without me noticing? And then he saw Harold. Harold had grown up average in school, not the brightest student. Some teachers called him trouble. Friends joked about his trick driver skills, clever shortcuts, quick thinking, but never top of the class. Yet here he was, 62, retired and relaxed, traveling, enjoying life, smiling. David often assumed Harold was less prepared. After all, he hadn't earned as much. He didn't have a big house. He didn't have a flashy career. But Harold had something David didn't: strategy. Harold saved consistently, every month, automatically. He avoided lifestyle creep. Dinners out were occasional. Small luxuries were deliberate, not habits that drained his future. He built an emergency fund, always ready for surprises. And he modeled his expenses far into the future, assuming he could live into his 90s. By the time Harold retired, he wasn't rich. He didn't have a mansion or luxury cars. But he had peace of mind, something David desperately wanted. Each morning, Harold sipped coffee and reviewed his modest portfolio. He occasionally called a friend or financial mentor, asking practical questions. He booked travel months in advance, ensuring it didn't disrupt his long-term plan. Even small indulgences, like a nice dinner or theater outing, were calculated. David, in contrast, often spent impulsively. A gift here, a dinner there, small choices that didn't matter, quietly drained his safety net. David realized something crucial. Harold's edge wasn't luck. It was consistency, planning, and foresight. Smart use of time. Unlike David, Harold always thought long-term. He knew retirement could last 25-30 years. He accounted for inflation, healthcare, and unexpected costs. Every decision was made with the entire horizon in mind. Harold had to replace his roof unexpectedly. Instead of panic, he tapped into a dedicated home repair fund. No stress, no digging into retirement savings. David, on the other hand, scrambled to cover smaller, unexpected costs. David noticed more. Harold traveled comfortably. Harold enjoyed fine dinners occasionally. Harold smiled while paying bills. David winced. One afternoon, David asked casually, "Harold, how are you doing all this? You weren't exactly a high earner." Harold smiled, calm and unhurried. "I started planning early. I keep my habits consistent. I expect surprises. I don't fear them. And I never let small luxuries become leaks." David felt admiration and envy. It wasn't genius. It wasn't luck. It was strategy, patience, and foresight. The secret weapon. Harold understood this truth. Retirement isn't about how much you earn. It's about how wisely you use what you have. He had diversified income, partial pension, dividends, rental income, a savings buffer for healthcare and lifestyle. Each source was small but deliberate. Together, they gave him peace of mind and security. Think about this. Have you ever assumed someone less capable would struggle financially? What if their success wasn't about intelligence or income, but consistent, thoughtful habits over decades? Lifestyle choices. Harold didn't overindulge. He didn't chase trends. He spent intentionally. Occasional dinners, vacations, small gifts, always planned. Unexpected expenses never caused panic. A friend needed help moving. David would have worried about the cost. Harold helped calmly. His budget accounted for occasional surprises. David realized the power of foresight. Harold's calm wasn't just financial. It was emotional. He didn't feel guilt over small spending. He didn't constantly check accounts in anxiety.
He approached retirement as a long-term journey, not a ticking clock. David realized he still had time. He could still change his trajectory. But first, he had to face the truth. Retirement isn't just stopping work. It's about freedom managed responsibly. Harold's story was a living example, a blueprint for the long-term success David had ignored. David reflected. He didn't fail because he was reckless. He failed because he never learned how to plan for invisible leaks, long-term costs, and small but consistent pitfalls. Harold didn't succeed because he was brilliant. He succeeded because he acted consistently, planned for longevity, and stayed mindful of every decision. The goal of retirement isn't just to stop working. It's to never become afraid of tomorrow. If this story feels familiar, you're not alone. And maybe it's not too late to be ready. Retirement isn't about stopping work. It's about freedom managed wisely, peace of mind, and choices made for the long term.